Hey, you guys, it's Jamaica up here, live and in color. No, but it's your girl, and I definitely want to come to you guys and have a conversation about um kind of what we talked about today in Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. So the topic was about your counter. I don't know the title exactly, but the topic was about the counterfeit personality, and so I loved it because the if you know me, you know these are some of the things that I love to talk about. So I always call the counterfeit personality I don't call it counterfeit, but I do call it the representative. So we were having this discussion about the counterfeit personality, AKA the representative. And I believe that there are there there's numerous, right? People have numerous personalities. And most of the time, you know, depending on what field of study you're in, you have some people who says that there's like about 12 representatives, right? So that every person has um 12, which is kind of like the zodiac. It kind of equals out to the zodiac. And then, as a holistic person, you make number 13, which is almost like Jesus and the disciples. He had 12 disciples, but disciples is another word for disciplines. And needless to say, let me not get all, spiritual, biblical, all that good stuff. Because it's supposed to be light and airy. But please note your girl will be coming to y'all at some point in time, do a little study. So, needless to say, counterfeit personality. So ultimately, in the room today, we took this little test and it broke down, and I'm gonna show you guys. Well, I'm not gonna show you anything actually. I'm gonna tell you about it. It broke down into about 5 or 6 different personalities. So based off of your score, you went through about, let's say, about 20 to 30 questions. I'm not quite sure, but for each question, you had to put a number 1 through 5, one being the less likely, five being like, yeah, this is me all the time. And it would calculate it out and it would give you a numerical value for each one of these fields. And so I'm going to tell you the fields. One of the keys was psychopath, psychopathy, which is the controller. So um, this also aligned with a book. I think it was, let me see if I can find the website real quick. Um, but the test was emcdowellauthor.com is what it said. And this was a test to figure out your character type. So you have the, I'm going to talk about this piece first. And I'm sorry, it sounds like it's all over the place. I wasn't ready. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. So one piece of it was the outsider. One was the dependent or independent. One was the endurer, the controller, and the perfectionist. And so these types are broken into almost like subgroups, which what I was saying was the psychopathy or the controller. And it goes along with a book. I'm not recommending any of this per se. I just want to give you guys just some generic stuff before I go into talking. So the first area that you can have was psychopath or controller. Inside of the book, it would refer to chapter 5, which is why can't I get others to see what's right. The second one was oral collapse, and there's two orals. So the first one is collapse, which goes with chapter 3. Why do I feel so overwhelmed? The other one is oral compensated, which goes with, again, back to chapter 3 as well. Why do I feel so overwhelmed? So there's two orals. It's just broken into either going to be overwhelmed or collapse. The third one is masochistic, which is the endurer. Why is life so hard? Then you have schizoid, which is the outsider. Why do I feel that I don't belong? And the last one was rigid or perfectionist. And that chapter was, why do I need to have everything together? Yeah. And needless to say, we took the quiz, and everyone who was in the room, well, most of the people who were in the room, just took the quiz just to kind of see where you lined up. Based off of your results, there were a couple of things that my friend Maisha the Sensual Energy Alchemist. So if you don't know her, please Google her, yes, or find her here on YouTube, because she's amazing and she has some great content. But definitely check her out. But what she was doing is she allowed for, well, not allowed, but she read out what each one was. I'm not gonna do it here because that's gonna take up a lot of time. I'm trying not to keep this too long. She read out each one aloud. Then she read out the coins of them, right? So what is the negative effects of them, and then what's the positive effects, or what gifts that they bring. So with every negative aspect of a person, there's some positive to it. That's kind of like the to me back in the day when they used to have the old cartoons with the angel and the devil sitting on the shoulders, that we are all, in my mind, right? We're all both, right? We're everything. It's the positive and the negative. That's what makes um an atom, right? So I was about to get into that. A atom is man, even though it's spelled ATOMADAM. Okay, but anyway, so we were just kind of giving a discussion about the counterfeit personalities. So for me, I don't necessarily break them down in this way, but I think what I will do is I will go through and do some more studies on this, because it goes along with some of the things that I'm already writing about in one of my books, and I may just use that as also as an additional reference point. But for me, what I do is I call it the representative. I feel that everyone has a representative. Your representative is part of your ego. And, I know a lot of people always talk about the ego as a negative thing, but the ego is very protective of the I, of the id, right? The id and the super ego. And what it does is it helps to provide you with someone who's tasteful to society. And what happens is the id, which I think that's Sigmund and Floyd, y'all know what I'm talking about. Look it up. He kind of talks about it as the egg being this primordial side of you, this uncontrolled essence of you. And even if he doesn't, that's how I look at it. I'm just gonna give it to you. You guys can go look at these scientific versions of all these things, but for me, I want to give it to you as from my point of view and what I believe to be truth for me. So for me, the id is your untapped, natural, born into this world premise of yourself. And as you grow up and you become, a child and a young adult and then an adult, you have society, you have church, which includes church, school, you have your parents, all these other perspectives that go on top of you. And they shape and shift the way that you show up to the world. So, for example, someone may cut off in front of you, and in your mind, the first thing, I should hit the back of their car and steer them off the road. Well, that's the id, because the id is the natural state of who you are, all the way, just like what it says, primal, the first. But then you have the ego, which is there, that's like, that's not how we respond to these situations. We have been trained not to do this. And so the ego stops you from responding that way. And sometimes the ego can also be a little bit more boastful in certain areas. So where you may feel like, and again, it depends on the person, where you may be truly a timid person, but somebody has told you that you have to show up big and bold, and you have to be boisterous when you show up. And so before you go out into the world and into society, you have a tendency to kind of put on this coat, and to dress yourself up as something that you may not fully feel full in. And so that becomes this protective barrier for you. And so that is what I believe that the counterfeit personality does, or what the representative does. The representative in the counterfeit personality is the one that goes out into society and makes it so that everyone can, um, almost everyone can enjoy you, or makes it so you're more palatable to other people. And y'all have to excuse me sometimes with language. Like, I know words, I know their meanings. I'm not the best speller. You could throw that in the trash. I've never been the best speller. But sometimes when I want to say certain things, I know what it is in my head, but the connection between what I'm thinking and what I'm saying, sometimes there's a disconnect, and that comes from car accidents. Like, I really did have some neurological issues, and so I had to learn um, how to get myself to pause, 1, to slow down, to rephrase or to re-say, because, I lost a lot of my vocabulary in my last car accident. I struggle with articulating for myself, so I do have to apologize for that, but for those of you who know me, thank you for still tuning in and being okay with me being me. Um, but needless to say, when I'm talking about the representative, I think that a lot of us, what we do in society is that we go out and we take our representative and we show it to the world and we look for people who can get along with our representative, whether we truly like them or not. We look for individuals who look good with our representative. And sometimes we have a tendency, some individuals, to marry the person that fits the representative versus the person that fits us, our real self, our true self. And sometimes we don't even know who that is. And what happens is we build these relationships and these communities, these nucleuses for this representative. And then you find yourself after years of um, sticking with this main vein, trying to, you know, live life the way that everyone else says it should be lived, we find ourselves a little miserable or unhappy, or, you know, life seems a little bit more of a disdain or distasteful. And then you're trying to figure out, well, why is it this way? Well, it's because a lot of the things that you've selected was not selected from a pure space. It was selected from your representative. And what I liked about the test is that the test showed you um, how do you show up and protect yourself at because again, let me back up, let me pause and back up. What happens is the test could do a number of things for you. One of the things were, I don't even know if she explained it this way, but let me not go into that. Let me just explain it from my point of view because it's not going to be helpful for me to try to figure that out. What I think the test does is it shows you how you function and how you protect yourself, how your ego shows up to the world. And it makes you aware so that when you start to have these responses, so if you're a masochist, for example, endurer, you have a tendency to be the martyr of situations. And so when you're doing that, it helps you to one say, this is how I handle certain situations. So when I do this, I need to pause and make sure that I'm no longer putting myself in a situation where I am not comfortable or where I'm giving too much of myself just so that I can be accepted. Um, the other one, going back to it, let me see one of the other names. Sorry, you guys. It was the controller. So someone usually this can be an individual who really doesn't want to have control. What a lot of what happens for a lot of women, because I can only speak from that point of view, is a lot of women have to be in control. They have to be the leader. They have to be the head. And in all retrospect, that's not always what they want. They want someone who can take the lead, but it just can't be anyone. I can't, and that's for me. I can't allow anyone to just come over and lead me because I have to choose someone who is going to make the best choices for the both of us. And the person that I choose, I have to be okay because if we fail, and hopefully we don't, but if we fail, because I chose this person, I can be okay with the decisions that they make for me. And I don't always have to speak because I know that this person is going to have our best intentions for me and for us. And so one of the things with controllers, like I was saying before, is they have a tendency to push people away and to be more in control when that's not really what they want. It's just a way that they have to respond in order for them to deal with the reality that they're in. Another example was the oral collapse. And I had an issue with this. And for me, the oral collapse in my mind, right, is an individual who um, typically has a lot to say. They want to get things out and across, but they find themselves when all is said and done, they're quiet. they sit back, they don't say much. And one of my friends most recently had a conversation with me about this. And what was said is that I noticed your face gives off a lot of expressions, and your face is, you know how the people say, my face needs deliverance. Your face says a lot about how you feel, even though your words, you're not expressing them and you're not saying anything. And so what has happened is I've been placed um in this situation, in this relationship with this individual, because I believe that this individual, we're co-creating an environment and a situation where I'm learning how to voice myself and how to speak um clearer, because I definitely um do try to communicate and try not to shut down. Or I tell people, I because I've learned these strategies, right? I tell people, give me a moment, let me calm down for a second, then I'll come back and we can have a conversation. But this person is making sure within our interactions that I am saying not just what is pleasant to other people, but what is needed to be said. And so when you deal with someone who's a oral collapser, right? There's many things that need to be communicated, and they just may not be doing it. Same thing with the oral compensation. Sometimes you have people who are just very, even though they want to sit back and they don't want to say anything, they have to be very vocal because it's going to be how I said and not, what you want. And they're going to be those ones who sometimes may be more manipulative and controlling. One of the other one was I said the endurer masochist, or the outsider. I have a tendency to this too. So one of the things I think that the document said, or what she was reading, was that the outsider is one of those people. Yeah, the outsider is one of those individuals who may space out. So my my friends, sometimes they ask me, they're like, "Where are you? Like, where are you going? Go, whatever else. You have people who zone out." But I'm one of those people. And this again, this was expressed to me through the same individual, um, who was saying that, when I'm quiet or whatever, they're like what they've learned. Because at first, I asked, what was your first impression of me? And what is your impression now? Because I kind of value this person's opinion. And so they stated what it was. And then their impression of me now, they were like, what I noticed is that you don't say a lot of things now because you're trying to listen to everyone's opinion and you're trying to listen to what everyone is saying so that whatever decision you make for the whole is for the whole. You want to find a neutral playing field for everyone, which is their best benefit. And I laughed because I was like, for this person to have known me, um, I don't feel that it's necessarily a long time. It's a very short period of time. Um, but even most recently, maybe like a month of real deal, communication. This person is very intuitive, and that's what I like, and a lot of my other friends as well. But this is the first time I've had someone who's been able to express to me these things, and I'm like taking notes, like touche. The last one was the perfectionist, the rigid, and so these people can be some people who maybe in childhood had parents that everything had a place, everything needs to be in order, and or it could be somebody who was in the military or in prison or whatever it is. But um these incidences, these life experiences cause you to be in one of these fields more than the other. And so what we were expressing this morning, or what I was thinking when I was listening to a lot of this, number one, I told them as a group, I said, I'm all of these. And it just depends on when and what, where and what is taking place for one or the other to show up. And what age as well, because a lot of these things were developed as a child. And I was just saying, like, I'm very self-aware of who I am and how I react. And I now understand when I see certain things, I put into play strategies for myself so that I don't run away, or with the perfectionist piece, I was very OCD about a lot of stuff. And I can tell, even in my classroom, when I'm with the kids, I see stuff out of place, out of order, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like fix it. Fix it, do something, pick up some paper, throw it in the trash, but I try to make sure that I'm not, overdoing anything, right? Because we have to be in partnership and relationship with a lot of other individuals, and it also, once you become aware of these things with yourself, you're able to be more aware of it within others. And as she was reading a lot of this morning, it made me very aware of my parents and where they are and where they were when I was younger, and how those things embedded certain beliefs and consequences and celebrations within myself as well. So if you haven't heard of it before, I definitely recommend going back to the front, listening to the name because I really don't remember it, but checking it out, taking one of the tests, hopefully the one that I mentioned before. um, I'm gonna pull it back up for y'all because y'all know I want y'all to be great. But taking one of the tests and just seeing where you are. So it is E McDowell author. So EMCDOWELLAUTHOR.com. And you can put in your name and an email, and then you'll take a small quiz. It's probably about, I want to say six to 7 pages on the phone anyway. Where it's about 5 to 6 questions each one. Is real quick, just for you to kind of evaluate yourself, and a lot of paying attention to those questions or sentences, um, because they actually show you how you respond and how you show up and what situations may be triggering for you. Um, and so I think that's definitely a benefit. And because understand that when you're in the process of healing, because people talk about this, it's about becoming aware of how you maneuver within life. It's not so much about you healing from everything that you experience, because that may or may not happen, but understand how you process things within yourself in your life to make things easier on your journey, so that when you come into contact with triggers or situations that you do not like, you know how to maneuver to get through them quicker. The thing is not to avoid issues, it's about how to get through um, certain situations quicker than you've usually done. So just wanted to throw that out there with you. If you guys check me out, check out some of the other links, other videos, do so. Please like, subscribe to my channel, like this page first, like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with some other people that you think would find it interesting. I do have my classes coming back up. I'm so excited. So excited. I do have them coming back up. And what I do in my classes, just like what I talk about here on this page, is I help people. I help children and women and children. Children when I'm at school during the day. If people want to have some type of family meeting or whatever else, I can help you with that too. But primarily in my business, Power Source. Power Source is my clubhouse name. That's where I do some of my podcasting. As one of them. I have 2 podcasts, y'all. So Power Source is one, but and Harmony and Power, excuse me, which is the school that I have created, that I'm pushing out information through. But if you're interested, check me out. Go look it up, harmonyandpower.com, and see what's available, see what it is that I'm talking about. Look at these videos. I give out a lot of free information, a lot of free content. But watch the videos first, because if you can't make it through the videos, and this is a lot of information, when you get into class, I did break it down some, because I know a lot of people are not used to dealing with their counterfeit personalities. They're not used to dealing with themselves or doing internal conversations, having internal conversations and critiques of themselves or celebrations of themselves. But go through the videos first, because the classes, like I said, I broke them down some, because the initial classes that I had, a lot of the women who were in them were like, this is a lot of information. And I don't want people to be overwhelmed, because sometimes for me, because I've been doing this on my life journey, right? My life walk, always making sure that um I myself, me, um is full and is aware of what has gathered, right? How I'm becoming. And I've done that shadow work, right? That internal work. Um, and check out the video for that shadow work. But I've done that internal work. And so sometimes when I talk about things, I try to slow down so that I'm not um inform I don't want to say information hoarding because that's when I'll be holding on to it, but I'm not just having diarrhea of the mouth and just throwing out stuff because I know sometimes I will talk about things and people 2 years later would come back and be like, "Oh, I just now got what you were saying." So, I tried to slow it down just a little bit, but it's really, it's group. My school is group organized. It's just like a school. But, there will be some strategies and strategic things that will be just for you, because, of course, we're all different, right? So we have to differentiate, for the individual so that you get the best, meaning the best benefit from what it is that you need and you want for your life. So I'm gonna leave that here. I definitely hope that everything I came across pretty well, because y'all know I usually like having my notes, but I've been trying to free form it and just talk lately, just so you can get to know me and I can get to know you guys. So leave me a comment in the chat if there's anything that you're interested in hearing me talk about or a conversation that you want to have. Let me know. Hit me up. Um, Again, I am Jamaica Anderson. I'm about to shut this thing down, but I will be back, you guys, because I love y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.